Welcome to TPM Vid's Disney Beat, where we talk about all things Disney. If you're new to the channel and like what you see, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon to be notified when we upload a new video. You can also find us on all your favorite social media platforms. The Walt Disney World theme parks are always changing. Attractions come and go. But if you know where to look, many pieces of Disney's defunct past are hidden in plain sight. From subtle Easter eggs to recycled props and floats, these details are scattered all around the theme parks. So sit back as we explore 7 hidden secrets and Easter eggs from defunct Disney World attractions. Number 7. World Celebration at Epcot brought a lot of new life into the hub and truly put the park back into the theme park. There are so many cozy places to sit and relax in World Celebration, which includes this area here known as Inspiration Gardens. It's home to these massive rustic tree-like sculptures. Not only do they provide shade, but they also house lighting and sound equipment since this area was designed as a possible performance space. The base of these trees follows a triangular pattern that complements the design of Spaceship Earth, but you'll also notice some other shapes above. You can see there's a variety of triangles, circles, and diamonds. But this isn't just some random abstract design. These shapes actually pay tribute to the Innoventions logo. Looking back at the old Innoventions sign before it was demolished, circles, triangles, and diamonds replaced letters in the pavilion's logo. This look from Innoventions was from its last redesign in 2007, and then once it permanently closed in September of 2019, the buildings were shells of their former life as interactive attraction spaces. Today, these rustic trees sit roughly about here, which would have been right in front of where Innoventions West used to be. So the next time you walk through Inspiration Gardens, just remember that the shapes in this abstract design act as a subtle reminder of a defunct piece of Epcot's history. Number 6. Festival of the Lion King is one of the most popular stage shows at Walt Disney World. The show starts off pretty bare bones, but before you know it, the entire theater comes right to life with dancers, acrobats, and 4 distinct floats. First off, it's Timon with a giant giraffe, then there's Pumbaa with the tumble monkeys, a float with an elephant, and finally Pride Rock with Simba.
Hey guys, it looks like we're all here. Let's go!
Now, the show has been running since Animal Kingdom opened in 1998, but these floats are actually older than the park, since they're recycled floats from Disneyland. Back in June of 1994, Disneyland debuted the Lion King Celebration Parade to kick off the release of the film. It featured a slew of floats, many of which you'd recognize from Festival of the Lion King. The energetic parade ran at Disneyland until July 1st, 1997, and once the floats were in storage, Disneyland execs got a call from Imagineers designing Animal Kingdom. About 6 months before the park was set to open, Eisner decided that Animal Kingdom needed a stage show. The budget for this new show was fairly thin, so they purchased the floats off Disneyland for $1 to basically reallocate the assets from Disneyland to Walt Disney World. After some minor modifications like making Pride Rock a bit smaller, these floats became the backbone for Festival of the Lion King. Today, you really couldn't imagine the show without them, and the animal characters add some really nice kinetics. Another fun fact about these 4 floats is that each of the animals are not audio animatronics. They're actually what's called puppetronics. Each animal has a performer inside that manually creates these lifelike movements we see in the show. So every time you watch Festival of the Lion King, the animal movements will be slightly different. Now, while we're on the topic of animals, I just want to say a big thank you to Paradise Paws for sponsoring today's video. Paradise Paws is a super fun mobile game where you rescue and raise the cutest little animals. My favorite quickly became this adorable little squirrel, but there are tons of other animals and the gameplay is very simple. In Paradise Paws, you play as Natalie, who joins her friend Lizzie on a mysterious island to restore an abandoned animal sanctuary. You'll hatch eggs, feed the babies with fruit, and then watch them grow, all while merging items together to help keep your island running. There's something so satisfying about merging the items with all the sound effects, and it'll quickly become your new favorite game. It's definitely become mine, and it's a perfect game to play while you're just waiting in line at the parks. Paradise Paws is completely free to download, and you can even play offline, so there's no Wi-Fi needed, and it is ad-free, which is even better. The first 100 of you who install the game using my link or QR code will get an exclusive adorable baby penguin for your sanctuary named after TPM vids. So that's pretty cool. Be sure to check out Paradise Paws and let me know which animal you'd rescue first. A big thank you again to Paradise Paws for sponsoring today's video. Number 5. Hollywood Studios is one of my favorite parks at Walt Disney World for the holidays. There is tinsel galore on Hollywood Boulevard, and it's the perfect portal to get you into that Christmas spirit. All the window displays are also decorated, but you're going to want to check out Tailors to the Stars in particular. During the day, the glare on the window makes it pretty hard to see, but if you peek in, there are 3 1920s-looking showgirls doing the Don't Cry For Me Argentina arms. Now they do look period appropriate, but if you ever went on the Great Movie Ride, these 3 girls might look very familiar because there used to be a couple dozen of them. That's because they are recycled figures from the Footlight Parade scene on the Great Movie Ride.
One of Hollywood's significant contributions to the world of film were great musicals. This scene is from one of my favorites.
This was the very first scene on the ride. It depicted the By a Waterfall musical number from the 1933 film Footlight Parade. Fun fact about this scene is that when it originally debuted, the tiered cake that the girls stood on actually used to rotate. It was meant to mimic the scene from the film, but the rotating cake had to be turned off only a couple years after opening due to mechanical issues. That's when they were placed behind the scrim. When the Great Movie Ride closed in 2017, a bunch of props and figures were sent to the Walt Disney Archives, and some were even kept right here at Hollywood Studios. This included the 3 figures from the Footlight Parade. If you look really closely, under the Santa hat, they're still wearing their swimming caps, and they even still have their sequins bathing suits under the peppermint dresses. I had heard that a few of these figures were saved, but walking through Hollywood Studios and seeing them show up 8 years later was a very pleasant surprise. At night, you definitely get a much better look at the figures in the window, so if you're at the park during the holiday season, go pay them a visit before January comes around because they'll probably swim away until next Christmas. Or who knows, maybe they'll become permanent mannequins for Tailor to the Stars, always keeping a piece of the Great Movie Ride right here in the park. Number 4. Over at Epcot, the newly updated test track opened back in June. Now, this is the 3rd iteration of Disney World's fastest ride, but like most of Disney's new projects, Imagineers have filled the attraction with tons of Easter eggs. So right at the beginning of the ride, you'll hear the guide say,
"You've always been dreaming about the road to tomorrow.
And now, we set a course for the future."
Now, when he mentions the road to tomorrow, this calls back to the Innoventions tagline that was added during the attraction's reimagining for the Millennium Celebration. Then after the Smart Road section, as you turn the corner, you approach the exterior of a house. Well, the house number may look really familiar because this is the opening date of Epcot. The numbers become October 1st, 1982. Now, once you enter the home, you're going to want to look at this bottom shelf here because you'll see 3 model cars on display. Well, each of the model cars just happens to feature the ride vehicle design from the different versions of Test Track. On the left is the original car from 1999, then the middle one is from Test Track 2.0, which debuted in 2012, then the one on the right is the version of the car today. During the vehicle customization section, your car is also transformed into the original Test Track car.
And here's one I think you'll really love.
Oh, I could get used to this.
Now we're going to move backwards a little bit because there are a lot more Easter eggs to note on the right-hand side of these scenes. First off, as you pass this shelving unit filled with plants and gardening supplies, the planter on the top has some lettuce growing out of it, and then the logo outside is actually the logo for the Land Pavilion. Then just ahead, there is a 3D printing station. On the desk, this printed model might look familiar because it's actually the sea serpent scene from World of Motion. This was an original Epcot Center ride in 1982, and it remained open until 1996, and this next Easter egg also happens to be related to World of Motion. So as you approach the Great Outdoors section, you'll hear,
Sure, it's always fun to be free.
when the guide says it's always fun to be free, that references the theme song from World of Motion, which was called It's Fun to Be Free. Then after she finishes speaking, the guitar riff is another Easter egg that also calls back to It's Fun to Be Free. It uses a small piece of the song's melody. So here's the guitar lick.
It's always fun to be free.
Then this is that line from It's Fun to Be Free.
It's fun to be free.
Audio Easter eggs are probably some of my favorites. Also, the 82 on the road sign references Epcot's opening year of 1982. Finally, in the last big scene before you're propelled outdoors, the City of the Future design was inspired by Walt's Progress City model, which went on to inspire the idea for Epcot Center. Today, the model is displayed on the People Mover at Magic Kingdom, but you can see the same kind of spire idea was used for the top of this building. Honestly, I think this version of Test Track has the most Easter eggs ever seen in any Disney ride. So next time you're on it, make sure to keep your eyes peeled. Number 3. Back over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, the 14 acres of land used for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge sits on what used to be the Streets of America. This is where you could find the iconic backlot tour as well as the Lights, Motors, Action stunt show, which closed in April of 2016. Well, over in Galaxy's Edge, it's said that no references from other planets can be found on Batuu since the land sticks to a very strict timeline. Well, if you head into the Outpost Marketplace, you'll discover that this is not exactly true. There is a lot going on in here, but if you make your way towards the middle of the market, you'll find this rack with 3 mini speedster bikes. Each one is unique, but when you get up close, you'll notice the middle bike has some writing in Arabic. Well, this just happens to be a little hidden tribute to the Lights, Motors, Action stunt show. This letter in Arabic is an L, then that's an M, and finally an A to give us LMA, the acronym for Lights, Motors, Action. The circular symbol also appears to be an abstract version of the tachometer with very similar characteristics. Galaxy's Edge covers a good chunk of the backlot, but the area that the Outpost Marketplace sits on is the exact same location as the stunt show. So although Streets of America is now a relic of the past, a tribute to Lights, Motors, Action is hidden right in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Number 2. Zootopia Better Zoothether at Animal Kingdom is one of the newest attractions at Walt Disney World. Although it replaced It's Tough to Be a Bug, the attraction still takes you into the Tree of Life Theater, only now it's been taken over by the animal residents of Zootopia. In the theater lobby, there's a new Pandora display, and even other miniature props for some of Zootopia's smallest residents. As you can see, the lobby still looks very familiar, but if we move on into the middle, you'll find a community board on the right-hand side. There are a bunch of Zootopia-related items posted, but one in particular you're going to want to find is for the Cub Community Theater. It lists a bunch of upcoming productions, but the very last one is It's Tough to Be a Bunny. This obviously pays tribute to the former It's Tough to Be a Bug. Another theater reference you can find on the bulletin board is this prey bill for La Peine Misérable, which is a bunny pun on the hit musical Les Mis. La Peine is the French word for rabbit, and since Les Mis is set in France, it creates the perfect musical pun. It's also a terrific callback to all the other musical puns that could be found in the lobby of It's Tough to Be a Bug. There were tons of them, but you might remember this one for the Dung and I. It was a spin on the musical The King and I, and the giant dung ball used in their production was found in the lobby. Now, if you aren't familiar with dung, it's pretty much just feces, where in this case it would have been created by dung beetles, so beetle feces. Fast forward now to Zootopia Better Together. The dung ball is still in the queue, only now it's covered in animal paw prints. Its new life serves as a memory of the first Zootopia Day. It says that early mammals formed this sphere composed of soils from each biome in the spirit of unity, peace, and prosperity. So yeah, former beetle feces was turned into a symbol of unity and peace, proving that Imagineers can truly recycle anything. Number 1. Tiana's Bayou Adventure opened at Magic Kingdom in June of 2024. The attraction replaced Splash Mountain, and throughout the entire queue, you can find some special tributes to the now defunct ride. So we all know that Splash Mountain followed the adventures of Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, and Brer Bear. Well, as you enter the main office of Tiana's Foods, the first thing you see is Tiana's desk. It's filled with tons of trinkets and supplies, but if you look at the top shelf, you can see 3 little figurines of a bear, a fox, and a rabbit. This here pays tribute to the 3 main Brer characters in Splash Mountain. You'll also notice 2 riverboats on the shelf. Now, sure, riverboats make brief appearances in Princess and the Frog, but placing them here along with the fox, bear, and rabbit is no coincidence. It's definitely a tribute to the Zippity Lady in the finale of Splash Mountain. But this isn't the only place in the queue where you can find tributes to the Brer characters. Once you're upstairs, take a peek inside the pantry because on the right-hand side, you'll find a cookie jar with a rabbit on the lid. Again, Imagineers could have placed any cookie jar here, but instead, they chose one with a rabbit. Now, one of the most iconic elements of Splash Mountain was Chickapin Hill. When you saw this tree stump, you immediately thought of Splash Mountain. Well, here on Tiana's Bayou Adventure, a lot of the set was just redressed from Splash Mountain. Many of the trees were recycled and painted since they already had that bayou look, but there is one specific tree that honors Splash Mountain. So as you approach the second Tiana animatronic, there is a tree stump in the background. It just so happens that this tree stump looks an awful lot like Chickapin Hill. The silhouette is just flipped, but again, nothing Imagineering does is just a coincidence. So next time you're riding down the bayou, keep your eyes peeled for these Splash Mountain tributes. So what's your favorite hidden secret at Walt Disney World? I'd love to know. Leave a comment down below to start a conversation, and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video.